it is good to see you. It's pretty amazing how rattled a bully can get when someone stands up to him or her. Take a look at America. After many threats and lies, Mr. Trump slapped 50% tariffs on us. It was a pressure tactic that the Americans hoped would work. It didn't. So now we have the Americans getting down to name-calling. The American president's trade advisor, a man called Peter Navarro, is calling the Russia-Ukraine war Modi's war. Ladies and gentlemen, can you imagine that? Modi's war. Why? Because he says India is bankrolling Russia's war machine by buying oil from them. This has been said before, yes, but calling it Modi's war has now made it personal. This was to an interview to Bloomberg TV. I wish we had the rights to play the clip for you. I can't play those clips for you, but if I could, you would have seen his mannerism and the tone and tenor, which made his desperation very clear. Navarro doesn't stop there. He then goes on to accuse India of getting in bed with authoritarians, China and Russia. Now, ladies and gentlemen, do I need to point out just how hypocritical the Trump administration is? They are world champs in the game, and definitely they deserve a Nobel for it. But let me make a case for them. Is the 3-year-old Russia-Ukraine war, which, by the way, has seen a major escalation today only, Modi's war, bankrolled by India? Just take a look at who's the largest buyer of Russian crude in the world. China. Technically then, it is Xi's war and not Modi's war. And why on earth are your friends, the European Union, buying so much Russian energy? By that logic, even they are funding Russia and its war machine. And what about the US itself? They've made a big song and dance about trying to negotiate a ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia. But will someone ask them why they are pumping arms into Ukraine? According to Mr. Trump himself, $300 billion worth of aid has been given to Ukraine. So, Mr. Trump is also guilty of fueling the war on the Ukrainian side. And then, of course, Mr. Navarro talks about India being in bed with authoritarians. First, let's look at China. We'll get to Russia later. Despite being the largest buyer of Russian crude, the US has just extended its truce with China. Essentially, singled out India, and they're having scotch with China. Great. Then the inconsistent Mr. Trump, who once called China enemy number one, is giving student visas to 6 lakh Chinese to come and study in American universities. This after saying that a college like Harvard cannot take foreign students. What has changed? So who is in bed with authoritarian regimes? Us or the United States of America? And as far as Russia goes, you are yourself looking at doing business with them. There are reports that the American energy giant Exxon has held secret talks with Rosneft, the Russian energy company, about going back and doing business with Russia. As we say here in India, hypocrisy ki bhi seema hoti hai. My guest this evening, Pratikrit Pain, is a geopolitical analyst. He's joining us on the broadcast. David Sofair is a Republican strategist, back on the show with us. Mr. Sofair, what do we say about American hypocrisy? We have nothing to say now. How is this Modi's war? And I hate to ask you this, but what exactly was Mr. Navarro smoking before giving that interview to Bloomberg TV?
Well, thank you very much for having me, and it's great to see you. Thanks for having me on again. We are currently negotiating terms, right? So these are ongoing negotiations, as you know. What you were saying beforehand with Russia and Rusneft, I mean, that's highly speculative, and unfounded at best. So we'll leave that one there. And when it comes to China, yes, they are also trading partners for supply chain, and they have substantial tariffs. Now, we have done with them they're coming to the table, and we are renegotiating terms with them as well. So, it's a very fluid, ongoing negotiation, and I can see your points that, is not as transparent as you would like it to be. And, at the end of the day, I'm confident that India can come to a solution with the United States
Mr. Sofer,
when it comes to trade.
Mr. Sofer, you're saying some of the data I have put out is not transparent. Let's just look at one basic data. Given the fact that Mr. Navarro has accused India of bankrolling the Russian war machine, the fact that he's calling Modi's war, the fact that he's saying the moment India stops buying Russian oil, Russia will not have the money to carry on the war. Okay, this is all that Mr. Navarro has said. He's a key trade aide of Donald Trump. I am just going to quote one figure to you, which Donald Trump himself has made public. This is a soundbite on a television camera where he says $300 billion have been given to Ukraine since the start of the war. In fact, he was lamenting that the European Union has just given 100 billion, while we, the Americans, have given 300 billion. My point is, if India is guilty of bankrolling the war, so is the United States of America. You are supplying arms and military aid to the Ukrainians.
Well, not to the Russians. They're doing it to the Ukraine. So, you know, they're helping fight, you know, they're helping a democracy there. So that's a big deal, isn't it?
No. There are two sides that fight a war.
Right, sure. There's two sides to fight a war, but
and both sides. And if you're accusing India of bankrolling Russia, and honestly, I don't think they need our money, you are equally, the Americans are equally guilty of bankrolling the war on the side of the Ukrainians. But Pratikit Payan, can the Americans get away by saying, look, we are funding a democracy, but you are funding an authoritarian regime?
At the end of the day,
let me put it this way. David wants to call Ukraine a democracy. In 2014, a democratically elected government of Ukraine was uprooted while, John McCain and Victoria Nuland was in the US Embassy in Kyiv in Ukraine taking photographs of an orchestrated revolution. That is how they uproot elected democracies. From 1946 to 2000, there have been 81 times America has interfered in foreign elections, and they talk about democracy. Now, secondly, when it comes to the Russian war, let me put it this way. The Americans must answer as to whether they have not taken advantage of Ukraine's position to get and garner a very critical mineral deal from Ukraine. Was it not about taking advantage of Ukraine? And secondly, if they are so much concerned that it is the Russian oil that we buy which is fueling the war, thank God Peter Navarro has not said that Modi invaded Ukraine. I want to ask, why is it that till date United States has not imposed a sanction on Russian oil?
Exactly.
Shreya, there is no sanction on Russian oil, and there are exemptions. I'll tell you one thing. If tomorrow India stops buying Russian oil and go towards Middle East, it is the Americans, we will make frantic calls that let White House say whatever they want, but please don't stop buying Russian oil. Otherwise, the price of oil will go up to $200 a barrel. That is exactly not what the Americans want. You have imposed sanctions on Iran. You have imposed sanctions on Venezuela. You are forcing OPEC to sell only to Europe and United States. What would developing countries buy from? Are they going to coal to run their automobiles? So there is a lot of hypocrisy on your part that you have to answer. And this war, I'll tell you, this is a war which can end in one day. The day Ukraine is told by United States become neutral, neither on the side of America nor on the side of NATO. They will not do that. They will not do that because they have to keep on fighting these conflicts one after another. This conflict will end the day another conflict starts, possibly even Venezuela. Now they want to restore democracy in Venezuela because it has one of the largest reserves of oil. So there is the hypocrisy, Shreya, because they thought India is a soft target who will succumb to the pressures, but we have defied. They forgot that we are a country on which they imposed sanctions in 1998. And even though we respect the United States, they imposed sanctions. Within 3 years, we emerged as a stronger country, and Bill Clinton, the president of the United States, came to India, took photographs in front of Taj Mahal. So the world has changed.
Mr. Sofer,
we respect you.
Mr. Sofer, here's the point. You said that your first sentence was negotiations are still ongoing. Yes, negotiations are still ongoing. But is that how negotiations happen? You're negotiating with the Chinese as well, right? You're negotiating with the Chinese as well. You have just extended the pause on the tariffs for them. There is a ceasefire between you and China. That is how negotiations are done. Okay, we are on the table, we are talking, we are disagreeing, but during ongoing
And
negotiations,
it's very important to say it's reciprocal.
just a minute, is this the sort of name calling that is required when negotiations are on, where you personally accuse the Prime Minister of a democracy of funding and fueling a war?
At the end of the day, I mean, that's how it is at the moment, and they are still negotiating terms of these trade deals. So if Peter Navarro comes out and says something that's strong and, that's, I can see your point that it's unsettling for your country. At the same time, we are dealing with a lot of different moving parts as we go for, American free trade and American fair trade and the American Fair Trade Initiative, which has been pretty successful so far. So we're proud about that. And, we'll really have to see how this ends up. But I am confident, and I think the administration is confident that a deal with India as far as trade will happen.
What is unsavory for us is not just the statements. What is unsavory for us also is the complete hypocrisy. And this hypocrisy, just by the way, is not just being called out in India, it's being called out in your own country, where the opposition in your country is saying, why India, why not China? China is the largest buyer of Russian oil. You don't penalize them. Instead, you extend your truce with them. And you continue negotiating with them.
There was plenty of tariffs.
When there is a thaw between India and China, you say you are in bed with authoritarians. So it's okay for you to negotiate with authoritarians. It is not okay for us to re-establish a relationship with a neighbor. That is hypocrisy.
There's plenty of tariffs against China. There's plenty of tariffs against China.
One of your leaders, a close aide of Mr. Trump, has also threatened that the H-1B visa program, of which Indians are the maximum beneficiaries, is a scam, total scam, and we'll let it go. On the other hand, what are you doing? You are opening up your universities to 6 lakh Chinese students, despite the fact that they are the largest buyers of Russian oil.
They've not closed down student visas to any country, so I think we should be clear there. So, we have a tremendous amount of students from around the world in American universities. So let us be clear on that fact.
300.
And let us just see how that unfolds. So a lot can happen in the administration. It's fast moving. The words aren't always nice. That's where it is. That's how it is minute to minute. China made some great concessions and, that were in America's best interests. And, the talks with our counterparts in India are ongoing. Okay. So in the meantime, what Navarro is saying can be heavy-handed and strong. And, definitely when it comes to visas, we are revisiting about how they're issued. So because we want fair immigration and safe immigration, which is a good thing.
Okay. Pratikrit, you can have the last word here. We've spoken about the American hypocrisy vis-a-vis Russia, vis-a-vis China as well. These are ongoing negotiations, yes, in a way. One would have thought that, talks have completely broken down. It seems not really, because that is the word that is coming in from the Indian government as well. But I wonder how far these talks can go, or these negotiations can go, given the climate around it, given this sort of name-calling.
Well, Shreya, one thing. What the Americans must understand is that mutual trade has to be preceded by mutual, respect and mutual interest. It cannot be American interest alone. Number two, there are red lines in this negotiation. We are not going to open up the poultry, dairy, fisheries and agriculture market on which 150 million people are dependent. We are not going to allow American goods to overwhelm our market and destroy our own indigenous sectors. The other thing is that let's understand why they are not imposing the sanction tariffs on China. Just 3 months before the Christmas, there are please let me finish. Please let me finish. Just 3 months before the the Christmas, if they impose those kind of tariffs on China, the consumers of America who are already having a tough time will have very tough time, and President Trump will be questioned by not just by others but the MAGA vote bank itself. And there is a huge embargo on soya bean import by China imposed. And Trump is trying to hope that the harvest season in September, and the MAGA voters are the soybean farmers. He's hoping somehow that thing China has given to Brazil, that somehow he gets back. Let me put it one thing. It is not just India. It is also China and Brazil And what the kind of statement? Lindsey Graham says, we are going to crush your economy. I mean, and President Trump says we are a dead economy. If we are a dead economy, in spite of that, Wall Street is heavily invested in India. Wall Street is investing in India, which means that they do not agree to what White House is saying. And that is what the Republicans must introspect, that India is your strategic partner. We do respect you. The amount of money the big tech companies earn in India, your revenue projections for the next 10 years for the major Wall Street companies are not going to come from China. It's going to come from India. And then in spite of all that, you call our economy a dead economy. You want to crush us. You blame us for a war which we have nothing to do with. And then you expect that we will be concessional to you. That's not going to happen. The world has changed. The biggest problem is that...
Pratik, and Mr. Sofet, please... you also, the Americans, not you, but the Americans also have to answer why your energy majors are in secret talks with Russian energy companies to restart business. It has happened. It's widely reported. You know that has happened. And the fact is, you cannot force a country to, you can't tell a country where they should be buying oil from and where they should not be buying oil from. We'll buy oil from the place which sells us the cheapest oil. It's as simple as that. And we don't need your dairy. We don't want your dairy. We don't want your soya bean. We don't want your corn. We need to protect our farmers. So just leave us alone and get going. 50% tariffs have been imposed. You can't do any worse.
Sure. So, I'd just like to say that, I definitely consider myself a friend of India. I don't want this to be a tit for tat or anything like that. I do not consider you guys the enemy, or I don't speak in an anti-Indian view at all. So I just want your viewers to be extremely clear there.
Okay.
Now, what I will say is that, when we are doing these trade deals, right, we are making America fair again. So other countries, right, I won't say any names, have huge, unfair, one-sided generational tariffs against us and unfair trade imbalances against us.
Sure.
So whilst we clean that up, and we are heading towards a more safer America, right? These are things that we have to do.
So you talk and you negotiate. You don't bully and threaten. That's the limited point. And you don't accuse a Prime Minister of personally funding and bankrolling a war. We'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you, Mr. Sofet, for joining us with the American point of view. Good to have you on the show, Pratik. Thank you very much for joining us as well. We are continuing with the story, actually, ladies and gentlemen, because there is nothing like a global challenge to spur a bout of domestic politics. Yesterday, once again, Donald Trump, for the 100th time possibly, made the head-spinning claim that he had threatened India and Pakistan to stop the war. And for the 100th time, the opposition went for the Prime Minister. Leading the charge today was Arvind Kejriwal, followed by the rest. Take a look.
I'm talking to a very terrific man, Modi of India. And I say, what's going on with you in Pakistan? Then I'm talking to Pakistan on trade. I said, what's going on with you in India? And the hatred was tremendous. Now, this has been going on for a hell of a long time, sometimes with different names for hundreds of years. But I said, what's going on? I said, I don't want to make a trade deal. No, we want to make a trade deal. I said, no, I don't want to make a trade deal with you. You're going to have a nuclear war. You guys are going to end up in a nuclear war. And that was very important to them. I said, call me back tomorrow, but we're not going to do any deals with you, or we're going to put tariffs on you that are so high. You were there, Howard, right? You're going to put tariffs on you that was so high, I don't give a damn. Your head's going to spin. You're not going to end up in a war. Within about 5 hours, it was done. It was done. Now, maybe it starts again. I don't know. I don't think so, but I'll stop it if it does. We can't let these things happen.
हमारे मोदी जी ने जो माल अमेरिका से आता था उस पे टैरिफ खत्म कर दिया, तो अमेरिका का सारा माल अब हमारे बाजार में बिकेगा. हमारे किसान और हमारे उद्योगपति और हमारे व्यापारी सब बर्बाद हो जाएंगे. हमें बदले में जितना 50% अगर ट्रंप ने टैरिफ लगाया, हमें बदले में 100% टैरिफ लगा देना चाहिए था. क्या हम कमजोर देश हैं?
आप जो भी करवा रहे हैं, आपकी कमजोरी से जो कुछ भी हो रहा है, बहुत याद आ रही इंदिरा गांधी. आज होती तो माकूल जवाब जाता. कौन सी ऐसी दिक्कत है आपके सामने, कमजोरी, कि ट्रंप को उसकी भाषा में भारत जवाब नहीं दे रहा है?
नरेंद्र मोदी अमेरिका से डरते हैं, यही तो हम पहली दिन से बात बोल रहे हैं। हम तो ये पूछना चाहते हैं समाजवादी लोग कि इस रशिया और भारत की डील में प्रधानमंत्री के दोस्तों को तो फायदा हुआ है, क्या भारत के लोगों को 2 रुपया पेट्रोल और गैस कम पड़ा?
Rohan Gupta is a BJP national spokesperson joining us on the broadcast. Advocate Anmol Panwar is a national spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party. He is joining us on the broadcast. Advocate Anmol Panwar, the larger question is simply this. This is a war between India and the United States of America, a trade war between the two countries. You have to pick whose side you are on.
Shreya ji, good evening. Shreya ji, certainly we are with the nation, but remember that in 2014 it was Prime Minister Narendra Modi who said that he will waive farm loans. He promised to double farmers' income. He said that he will ensure MSP, but he didn't fulfill any promise. Instead, the Bharatiya Janata Party labeled farmers as terrorists, Khalistanis and whatnot, and introduced and worked against their interests by introducing 3 black farm laws. And now when his best friend, when his closest friend, Donald Trump has imposed 50% tariff on India, instead of giving a strong reply, instead of giving a befitting reply, Narendra Modi ji has removed 11% import duty on cotton, which will directly affect millions of farmers from Gujarat, Telangana, Punjab. The cotton price will reduce by 10 to 15 rupees, the American cotton price. And American cotton will flood the market, and by the time Indian farmers will bring their crop in October, all those cotton, American cotton, will be purchased by the textile industry. So who's at loss? I have few questions for the BJP spokesperson. Question number 1, our country has 140 crore people, such a huge market. No one can dare to defy us. Then why is Narendra Modi flinching before America? Second, European Union imposed 50% tariff. China and Mexico imposed 125% tariff in retaliation to harsh America's tariff. Then why didn't our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji respond to America's 50% tariff?
Okay,
question
Rohan
number
Gupta,
3.
respond to that.
Number 3.
Respond to
Two
that.
more questions.
Why are we giving the Americans concessions when they are accusing us of funding the Russian war? लगा दो 100% tariff उन पे, उन्होंने भी तो 50% लगाया ना?
पहले तो ये जो पुराने इंडी गठबंधन के भाई है, भले बिछड़ गए हैं, पर दोनों का मानसिक संतुलन खराब हो चुका है. इनिशियली दे वर टेलिंग एट द टाइम ऑफ ऑपरेशन सिंदूर, देखिए बिकॉज ऑफ द ट्रेड डील मोदी जी कॉम्प्रोमाइज और सीज फायर हो गया. नाउ दे आर चेंज द गोल पोस्ट. नाउ दे आर सेइंग कि नहीं देखो टैरिफ लग गया, इंडियन इंडस्ट्री है. फर्स्ट दे हैव टू डिसाइड वेयर दे आर. Are you now apologizing to the country at the time of Operation Sindoor? Whatever comments you have made against Mr. B and our government, you have cited US at that time. You are saying that India is a dead economy. Whose side you are first, you decide that. Number 2, Kejriwal has no business. He has completely become unemployed after Delhi's defeat. So he comes out and presents the partial facts. Let me tell you, Shreya, the real facts are our industry, the cotton industry, the manufacturers were asking for removal of import duty since long because the cotton prices domestically were very high. MSP of cotton has been increased by 8% by government before 2-3 months, and new purchase will be at 8% higher than last year's MSP. By the time our crop comes, obviously because of the deficit in the market, the cotton prices are going up. Because of the raw material price go up, our final products will be expensive. Because we will get a cheaper cotton, our products are going to be more competitive, and it will go into different new markets. After US is this tariff, we have to explore markets. That's the policy of government. So these people, then either they understand economics, nor they understand politics.
You are saying we are protecting our you are saying we are protecting our textile industry, which is why this 11% import has been done away with. Import duty has been done away with. Rohan Gupta, वो तो ठीक बात है. Please tell me, 1 minute. Please tell me. I don't have too much time, so be quick. If a country like China can impose reciprocal tariffs on the United States of America, why not India? चलिए, हम पे 50% है तो हम भी 50% कर देते हैं. Mr. Gupta, कर देते हैं ना?
मैं आपको वही बोल रहा हूँ. श्रेया जी, if you see our trade balance, right? We are the net exporter to US. All the actions will be taken. The step number 1, we have not bogged down against US's arm twisting policy. That's point number 1. You will see now. We definitely all the steps are open. The number 1, the priority is to protect our industry, our cotton, our textile industry, our pharma industry. That's what we are doing. But these people, rather than standing by the government, they are playing this vulture politics by coming out with bits and pieces without understanding economics. By not having import duty, allowing import duty free cotton, you are going to ensure that our exporters are going to be viable across all the countries and our exports will increase.
Okay.
Why don't you understand it's such a small issue?
Okay, Anmol Panwar, the 50% tariffs, all the utterances that are coming from the United States of America, etc., pressure tactics. You know this and I know this. Pressure tactics are employed when negotiations, especially tough negotiations, are happening. Why are you pressurizing your own government? The Americans are pressurizing us and even you are pressurizing the government.
Shreya ji, we are
Let's choose our side, na.
Shreya ji, we are standing with the farmers of the country. I would like to ask BJP spokesperson that how does removing...
But it is because of the farmers of this country that we don't have a deal with the Americans, na.
No, but
India is very clear, we are not opening up our farm sector. We don't want your soya bean, thank you. We don't want your corn, thank you.
10 seconds.
We don't want your non-vegetarian milk, thank you very much.
How does removing import duty on cotton help the farmers? How does removing import duty on cotton help the farmers? There are ongoing discussions that Modi ji's close friend Adani has a criminal case against him, and in order to protect him, he has betrayed and deceived 140 crore Indians. That's the reality. Every other country forced Donald Trump to bend. हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने घुटने क्यों टेके अमेरिका के सामने, ये सवाल है.
अरे घुटने टेक लिए होते तो 50% टैरिफ नहीं होता ना, अनमोल पंवर.
100% लगाओ ना. किसानों की बात कर रहे हो, इंपोर्ट ड्यूटी हटा के किसानों की मदद कैसे होगी? किसानों की तो पीठ में छुरा घोंप दिया आप लोगों ने. You have backstabbed them again, like you have done in the last decade.
बताइए, आपको समझ ही नहीं है. Neither you understand economics, nor you understand politics,
आप बताइए ना,
diplomacy.
आपने क्या किया आज तक किसानों के लिए? ना फार्म लोन माफ किए उनके, ना उन्हें एमएसपी दिया, ना उनकी आय दुगनी की. 750 से ज्यादा किसानों ने शहादत दी और आज 11% इम्पोर्ट ड्यूटी भी हटा दी.
Advocate Anmol Panwar, this is what I will say. It is the job of Mr. Arvind Kejriwal and Rahul Gandhi and the entire opposition to ask questions of the government. Bilkul, 100% it is your job, you should do it. When you're doing your job, you're doing a service to this country. But when it comes to the India versus America battle, I suggest that you pick a side and stick to it. And I suggest you pick the side of India in this war, because we can't have a situation where the Americans are pressurizing us and then the opposition is also pressurizing the government. Anyhow, we'll leave it there. Chota sa discussion tha. Thank you very much for joining us, Advocate Anmol Panwar. Rohan Gupta, thank you very much for joining us as well. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, a break. There's more on the other side.